Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As I dive in, bloodstains wash.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Serenity Gaming. I hope you're ready for a battle, because with new teams joining and expanding our divisions, the season is looking more competitive than ever. Tonight, two teams will look to start establishing their legacy and score their first points of the season as Team Onyx takes on Team Chimaera. I'm your cast of the day, Eric Desarux Patran, followed by my co-caster and newly found friend, Christian. And Christian, with the new year underway, is there any better way to start it off with new competition?
Well, that is the question, especially right here when there aren't any professional matches, right? Like LCS, what is LCS in Europe even called now? LEC hasn't even started yet, so I'm really excited for some, hopefully not too clown fiesta solo queue games.
Yeah, and we never really know, though, because it still is preseason. So everyone's still trying stuff out. Some things bound to work, other things set to fail. We don't know until we get in.
Especially as you mentioned, it's preseason, so well, you can pretty much play anything if you know how to do it. There isn't really that much implemented and normal meta. We've even seen what Cassiopeia bot lane actually on the statistics side OPGD. That's a really good bot laner. So well, maybe we might see that. Maybe we'll see Dark Harvest. Never mind, it got nerfed to the ground, but I would expect something like Cassiopeia, Lissandra still to be like really high priority, especially also Galio, because well, his tweak, which I thought was a nerf, buffed him like to heaven.
Yeah, there's all kinds of changes that come through. One of the bigger ones is not even the champions, it's to the towers. We now have turret plating, which every turret plate that does fall off before 14 minutes is 160 gold to anyone who's in the area, and split among who's in the area. So that does significantly extend the early game, but it also means more gold income in the early game.
Yeah, also just the fact that if you die, you have to be really careful that you don't just lose all your turret plating on just one tower, because that amount of gold it gives is really insane. I've seen some mid laners, actually really high mid laners, high elo mid laners in Europe. They just say, screw roaming, I just stay in lane, try to push in the lane and get the turret plating, because eventually it will be worth it to get turret plating instead of kills.
And now we are heading into the champ select, and already rapid fire with these bans. Renekton, Lissandra, Urgot, and Lucian taking off the board already. And the Renekton ban, even though it does seem weird, if we take a look at Nizik, he is quite literally a Renekton one-trick. It's his favorite champion to play, so it's no confusion that Onyx would go straight out for that ban.
No, definitely not. If you play against one-trick, it's just 10 times better just to ban the champion out, because then you're kinda safe, but it's not like he only plays Renekton. He can also play whatever, Irelia, Vladimir, Na, and so on. But he doesn't really play anything really meta in top lane. The only meta top lane is perhaps Irelia, because the rest of the champions he plays are kinda off meta solo queue wise. It's really interesting to see if they pick some weird thing in top lane, like a Vladimir top lane or Irelia now when it is open. They do opt into the Kai'Sa maybe.
Yeah, hovering that Kai'Sa. Meanwhile, Onyx did go for the first pick Morgana, which does throw me off a little bit, because that first pick, you usually want to make it for the power pick. Morgana's more of a second rotation, we get a power pick plus a powerful support type thing, so a little bit strange to go for that. I want to see where they're headed with this draft thus far. Kai'Sa and Shen both locked in, and Shen, it's kind of interesting to see the Shen, because once again, if we look at the side of Chimaera, Prompo as a jungler tends to do better on off-meta tank junglers than he does on the current meta junglers.
Yeah, I'm just really kind of annoyed at the Morgana first pick, because there's just way better champions to pick in the first rotation. Like we mentioned, Galio could have been picked earlier. They do secure him right now, but he was still left open for, how do you even pronounce that, Chimaera to pick it. So I'd say this is kind of bad drafting from Onyx, but they still do secure a strong mid lane. It will be interesting to see right now if the junglers will get banned out, because now Nocturne has been picked on the side of red side, and there's no junglers to be picked on blue side. And we can easily see some junglers being banned out. And yeah, who is it? The Kha'Zix.
Yeah, so now we are headed to the second round. That Galio pick you were talking about, definitely going to be locked in. Going to see a lot more of that. And a lot of Galios. You were talking about the changes to his kit. With those changes, you see them tend to go a lot more AP heavy than usual. And to go off on the ADC pick for a second, Tristana, she is in a bit of a weird spot. She's not that pure meta ADC, but she's really quick at taking those tower plates if you leave her alone with the turret.
Yeah, just this tower playing is just so important. And with the Morgana as a support, they should be, well, it shouldn't be easy for them to push, but it's quite a safe lane. Generally, Tristana wants a really tanky support like Alistar or Braum, but she can also do just fine with Morgana because of the sheer amount of range and the survivability with Black Shield, Rocket Jump, and Busted Shot. Like, this lane would be pretty much impossible to kill after level 6. After level 6, my bad. Unless like they get a miracle gank by Nocturne and Shen, but we do see the global team from Chimaera right now with the Shen and Nocturne. So this is something that can gank lanes really quickly and really efficiently because of the, well, what do we even call it? Not ball delivery system, Shen delivery system.
Yeah, and that could be a pretty spectacular thing to see, but it'd also be a kind of scary thing to go for, because if you leave that tower alone, once again, you always have to keep in mind, is it worth using the Stand United for the plates you're about to give up to your top laner, as the top laner is selected on the side of Onyx. They go for the Scion as well as the jungle Xin Zhao. Last pick going over to Chimaera.
Well, that's a really interesting point right there. When is it worth it, my bad, to leave the lane? But Shen will probably just go with the TP, so if he uses the Stand United in bot lane or mid lane, for example, he can just TP back to the lane. However, that's two really big cooldowns to use just on a kill. They do have to get tower plating or tower if they go for the Shen Nocturne ulti, because, well, Shen ulti has almost 3-minute cooldown as well as Nocturne ulti in level 6. So, well, if they do go for the gank, they have to get more than just kills. They have to get pressure, they have to get dragons or towers or both even.
Yeah, there's a lot you have to consider as you go through it, and you always have to weigh those risks. But rounding out this composition, Alistar going to be picked up by Chimaera. That is a support that's almost perma-banned. It is so strong in the current meta, despite the changes. It did get quite a bit of a nerf to the damage that comes from the stun, the E, that Alistar has, and it doesn't even matter at that point. He's still too good with the amount of CC and utility he brings, not to for dive ability that can support both the Nocturne and Shen ults.
Yeah, we do see the general theme on the side of Chimaera that they want to dive, like Nocturne, Shen, Ahri. Name a better duo for diving like in competitive matches, because Nocturne and Shen have been something we've seen a lot in the earlier part of the 2018 season. So I'm really hyped up to see this. Also, Kai'Sa with the killer instinct, well, she can join the fight as well very quickly and very efficiently, and even Shen can ulti her if she wants to. So this is definitely a really strong comp for engaging, but that disengaging isn't really that strong. So if they do manage to get a good engagement on the side of Onyx, like a unstoppable onslaught with the Galio Hero's entrance, well, that might spell disaster for the side of Chimaera, because the disengage is quite poor. I'd say the only good disengage they do have is the Alistar, as you mentioned. Such a great champion.
Yeah, absolutely splendid. And looking at Chimaera, you got to realize their team is pretty much go button once it hits level 6.
Yeah.
They're just looking for that later half of the early game and mid-game domination, and they have that little backup resource in terms of the Kai'Sa, because once a Kai'Sa gets scaling, it's very hard to shut her down. She has both the stealth and the killer instinct that you have to deal with.
Yeah, but she does have to scale. Kai'Sa really needs the item, but Tristana does it well. So this will be really interesting to see how does the late game unfold, because Tristana is such an amazing champion in late game. She doesn't really kill tanks as fast as Kai'Sa, but she has the range advantage against Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa, she will explodes tanks, even though that shouldn't be possible. Sion will not be that tanky in late game against the Kai'Sa because it deals the hyper damage. Also, a Xin Zhao can die really quickly if he doesn't use his ulti quite the proper time. But I also want to mention the jungle matchup we see this time around, because it's Xin Zhao versus Nocturne. I'd say this should be highly favored on the side of Xin Zhao, because he's really strong early game champion, while Nocturne, he kind of wants to farm, get the level 6, go bot lane, kill tower, win the game through a single play. which we see in competitive matches. But this Xin Zhao, I'd say this would be really, really important to see if he does manage to get good invades or good scuttle crab fights, because that might be something that can set Onyx really, really far ahead in the early game.
Yeah, then looking over the side at Chimaera, if you are playing that Nocturne Prompo, you make sure that if you ever end up in a Scuttle Crab fight, that's pretty much one you concede. Xin Zhao is way too strong early. 3 Talon Strike does so much damage on each auto. Definitely not something you want to go through with until you hit that level 6 point, rush there, and go for the ultimates. Taking a look at Onyx's comp, though, it does have a lot of turf dive ability. It does have a lot of late game prowess, a lot of late game power, because we know Scion, at a certain point, gets so much armor that there's no way to really tear through him. He's just on that front line being an absolute nuisance, doesn't even need the damage.
Yeah, no point in killing Scion in team fights unless like he's the only one you can go on. And this is also really interesting. How do you dive Xin Zhao, Galio, Tristana, Morgana in the late game? Because Xin Zhao, well, he has his ulti. It's a great tool for disengaging. Galio is a kind of tanky champion, but as you mentioned, his Q deals stupid amount of damage almost.
Yeah.
Tristana, Buster Shot, Rocket Jump, and Morgana with the Black Shield. Like, this team is hard to dive. We mentioned that Chimaera has a really, really strong diving team. Well, it's a hard team to dive.
It's absolutely disgusting to try and dive that comp, given all the tools they have to negate it. But let's take a look at this in the early game, just to see what the conditions really are when it comes to these team compositions. Looking at the bot lane squad of Onyx, when it comes to that Tristana and Morgana, what it really comes down to is because you have the double range, it does give you room to bully out that Alistair, and the fact that Kai'Sa takes a little bit of time to scale, that might be a pretty good point of contention for Onyx to pushing the advantage with that bottom lane, because it could ill you into that triple item Tristana quite early, especially if you get those plates.
Yeah, it would be really interesting to see. Also, just the well, turret killing. Just go for the straight up as 5 push in the late game or mid game, because you have Galio. Great wave clear here after this tweak, because, well, his Q instantly deletes the range creeps, to be honest, when he gets like 2 or 3 items. Also, Scion can tank out immense, like really a lot of damage, as you mentioned. He will just be the unkillable bot. And Xin Zhao can bring the damage and the survivability with his ulti. So, can Onyx actually do get the tower sieging? If they do get it like going, well, what can really stop it? Because Nocturne is a squishy champion. He can't get the Shen ulti, but Nocturne can still really quickly die to the Galio because of just the amount of damage. And if he gets behind in the early game because of Destiny's Sensor, well, that would be hard for sure. But it's not over. We're only in Championship League, and Godfight does have the Alistair, as you mentioned, but he is in the counter pick matchup. That's actually a quite silly pick, to be honest. You know you're playing into Morgana, yet you pick the Alistar. This just tells me that they don't really care about the early parts of their laning in the bot lane. They just want to get out of the laning phase and just straight up dive into the phase of Onyx.
And they're gonna want to get out of laning phase as fast as possible. Because when it comes down to it, if you look at how much lane control on paper that the composition of Onyx should have, the Galio and the Tristana should have priority pushing up, and that should enable so much river control for the Xin Zhao. It should enable dragon control and scuttle control as well. So the faster you get out of that laning phase and the faster you get level 6 for Chimaera, the better off they're going to be. The only problem with Chimaera's comp is they're so heavily reliant on having their ultimates up with the Paranoia and the Stand United.
Yeah, they're really reliant on the ultimates. That's a really good point. I wouldn't say Onyx is that reliant on the ultis, because, well, Galio, he's not really built around his ultimate anymore. He's just built around quick bursts with his Winds of War, I believe they're called, his Q, and the taunt to Stana. Well, it's fine if he doesn't have ulti for a team fight, and it's not fine at all for the side of Chimaera. They really need these ultis to fight, so if they bait out a Nocturne ulti, well, that just means they have immense amount of presence in the rest of the game, the following 2 or 3 minutes.
The only positive side we do have to look at, though, is the fact that when it does come to the Nocturne's Paranoia, it does somewhat counter the hero's entrance, because you cannot see. If you cannot see, you cannot ult your ally.
That's true. That's actually a really, really annoying counter pick. I remember I played it with my friends who were like, I'm helping you. Never mind, I can't see you. That's a really, really good point actually, because if Prompo does get a gank in bot lane, well, that's a funny name, get good. Librix can't gank bot lane at all, or he can't follow up with the gank. It's also really interesting to see how does the 2v2 in mid lane play out, because when you get higher in elo and more competitive, well, mid lane isn't a 1v1 anymore, it's a 2v1 or 3v... 2v1, 2v2 or 3v2. 3v3, my bad, I'm so dumb. And it would be really interesting to see what side actually wins this 2v2. I would say it should be the side of Onyx, because they have the somewhat tankiness and a lot of like instant burst. We do see some burst on Chimaera as well, but Nocturne is just such a squishy champion in the early game, and to be honest, in the entire game.
So now these teams are on the Rift and ready to go. 5-point spreads coming out of both. A lot of familiar faces despite these being new teams. Llama and Destiny, we've seen them play before in the past, as well as Nizik and Highwind. They've been on a team together outside of Chimaera before, so there is some pre-established. You could take whatever advantages you can get as these junglers choose to both start at the red buffs.
Yeah, and teamwork will be so keen to winning this game, because, well, you have to engage properly. You have to engage together, because if Prompo goes in without Nizik stand united, ooh, level 2 gank. Nice flash though. But now it's 5 minutes where Godcry doesn't have flashing. We mentioned in the Thames League that they will have a tough time in this lane. Well, it just got even tougher right here.
Yeah, no doubt. When your flash is down that early, that's just a good sign for the jungler to absolutely go ham on you and try to punish it as much as possible. And we'll see if that happens. It's going to be a little bit of a rough situation if that does actually happen, because naturally Tristana tends to push forward regardless.
Look at Destiny right now. He's in the jungle of Prompo. Can he actually get the smite steal? We can't really see it because direct camera doesn't bless us with it. Oh, this is really interesting.
This is really risky, going so far deep into the jungle, going after this blue buff. Prompto trying to go forward, but the blue buff ultimately going over to Destiny, getting a lot of damage onto God, who stunned up, locked down, and first blood will go over to the squad of Onyx.
That was so smart of Onyx, because they knew the cow didn't have any flash, so they knew they could go for the aggressive play, because if they engaged with Alistar, well, he didn't have any flash to follow or to get away with, and he was only level 1, so we thought that was kind of greedy, but it was just a master play, to be honest.
But extremely greedy out of God altogether.
True.
Not having flash and going that far forward, you have to respect the fact that there's a binding there out of Krills.
Yeah, really disrespecting play right here. He didn't have flash, wasn't even level 2. Right there, it's just probably just to say, well, we have to give it up. We don't really have the early game. We have to just concede it and try to get a level 6 gank eventually. And look at the bot lane right now. Look at the present right now.
Ooh, an attack going on to CZZ. Taking a lot of damage. Not going to get enough to get the finish. Heal still available. The knockup going on in top lane. Destiny is here to follow suit. Getting a lot of dodge. And Nizik's going to be able to barely survive, flashing over the wall.
This is what we mentioned in the Champions League. Destiny will play really aggressively and try to just be a pain in the ass for Prompo right now. And well, he's doing it perfectly. He stole the blue buff already. He's 5 CS ahead, which is quite substantial in the jungle, I'd say, this early. And he has already gotten 2 good ganks of blown Godcry's flash and blown Nizik right here. So 2 lanes which are really easy to gank. And also look at the CS difference right here in bot lane. This is just all on the side on the shoulders of Destiny because of this gank so early on into the game.
And to be honest, it's so hard to deal with, but gotta hold that thought of ganks. The taunt follows suit. It's so much damage to follow through. Librix able to pick up a kill onto Highwind.
That was kind of cheeky, I'd say. Really quick flash, but good follow-up. That was just well played. And Destiny, he just... What's the opposite of caster curse? Because that was probably what just happened. Normally, when I compliment anyone, they just instantly die. This time, he just popped off. I'd say
the caster blessing.
The caster
That's
blessing,
how we'll go with it.
That's true. That's true.
One of the things I'm a little bit curious about is taking the Shen in the top lane. Shen is inadvertently nerfed because of a change that happened recently. Tiamat is about 150, I believe, gold more expensive, and Shen is heavily reliant on that when it comes to going for any sort of split push.
Really, really good point, actually. I'd say the Shen pick was kind of weird because maybe you should just go for a full-on split pusher against this lineup of Onyx, because they want to siege. They want to go as 4 or 5 together when you pick the Galio and Tristana together. So why not just counter it with a straight-up split pushing top laner? And well, as you mentioned, Shen can't really do that anymore. He can, but it's harder for him because of the Tiamat. And well, Shen isn't really the best split pusher in the game at all.
Yeah, really, the only thing that makes him shine as a split pusher is the fact that he has the Stand United as well as the teleport, all in one bag. But now as this game does go on, Onyx do have quite a bit of a lead. They're starting to accumulate. You can see every lane is pushing forward for Onyx. They just have complete map control, and this makes Destiny's job so much easier.
Yeah, it really does. And when Librix does get to level 6, well, it will be really interesting to see if he can also get some ganks off together with Destiny, because that is a gang squad I don't want to face.
That is so true. I'm sorry. Just kicking the minion into Nizik and stopping the recall. And that is exactly why right there. Destiny is showing up. The knockup comes in. The damage to follow. Destiny able to get a kill onto Nizik. And there's not a single thing Prombo can do. He just runs away from his golems and concedes.
Ooh, is Destiny too far up? I think so.
It just might be, but able to use the Blast Plant. You got to question Highwind. He could have autoed the Blast Plant first before going after Destiny. Got out of Flash, but on the bot side, Moby going to choose to fight this. So much damage going on to KZZ. So Moby will look to pick up a kill, tries to make it 2. Not going to happen. Gonna be happy taking out KZZ, though.
Look at the gold lead right now. 2.6k gold, only 7 minutes or 8 minutes almost into the game. That's just so much gold this early, and well, this lead might just keep extending because there's not really any get back, I'd say, potential on the side of Chimaera. They have a Nocturne, not really the greatest pick against Sinsa. Oh, the engage here.
Here's entrance. Coming in as well as the Stand United out of Nizik, but Krill's way too low. Moby and Destiny trying to go after the Drake. A lot of attack going in as Librix goes after Highwind. Gets a good chunk of damage in. The flash is down. Highwind has to run as fast as he can if he's going to escape, but here comes the Paranoia. Able to destroy Destiny, and KZZ comes in with the flank. Now Chimaera are getting on the board.
Oh no, Destiny, he flashed. And then he missed his W, and they couldn't secure the kill on Ari. That was so unfortunate from Destiny. We praised him so much in this game, and he thought he could go for the highlight reel play and just missed the W straight out. And well, we just mentioned the gold lead. It just got swinged to only 1.5k. Well, just 1k you got back. That's really, really good on the side of Chimaera right here.
Yeah, one thing you have to question from Onyx, though, was the fact that they didn't have mid lane priority when they went for that dragon. That enabled Highwind to just wander on in, play a lot of disruption, and eventually get that Stand United and the engage for his team to follow suit. It's really about map control before you go for these neutral objectives.
Yeah, you're right. That map control is one of the most important things when you play together as 5. Not really in solo queue, you can do whatever you want, but when you go for the tower dive, when you go for the dragons, you have to be sure where the enemies are and where your creeps are in your own lane, so you have to map present. And well, as you just said, they just got punished for this. Oh no, Morgana.
Ooh, the knockup coming in, Krills. Gonna use the Soul Shackles. Gets a lot of punishment in. Almost falls, but the stun comes in. Now Moby with the double jump. Goomba stomp onto God. Little bit of health remaining. One more auto to finish it. Destiny, as well as the rest of his bot lane crew, able to take down the bot lane of Team Chimaera.
That was so cheeky from Krills right there. He was down. I thought there was just a suicide play right here, but I guess it was just a 200 IQ. But we mentioned the lead might get string. Oh, never mind, the gank mid lane.
There comes the Paranoia. It is going to force the flash out of Librix. Better to use that flash than to get caught, but with the Paranoia being down and no kill picked up for it, it is going to hurt for Prompo quite a bit.
Yeah, I was just... Oh, killer instinct.
Oh!
That looks so dumb.
And you missed it. Oh, goodness.
Oh, also
not much to say there, but Spirit Rush coming in as well as the taunt. Librix trying to turn it around, uses the Ignite onto Highwind and makes Highwind second guess his decision of going forward. Meanwhile, the top lane, Nizik and Llama having a little bit of a wet noodle fight, entertaining us with whatever little bits of damage to the health bar they can do.
Yeah, we just see that, like, why Galio is such a good champion, because even though he goes for the blasting wand and, well, the Dark Seal, it doesn't really matter because he just gets the defensibility from his W, because obviously this gives him the passive which gives him the magic resistance and the magic shield, so he's going to be just fine even though he's playing against this, like, control mage, assassin, Ahri, and I'm kind of questioning the Ahri pick right now, because I feel like there are way better picks right now in the meta to pick other than Ahri.
It is. Usually, when we have the Galio, the matchup follows suit, being Lissandra, and you get that kind of neutral, we both take Aftershock, haha, kind of lane. I can't blame him for wanting to go away from the Ahri. The Cassiopeia would have been the best, but that was taken off the table, so... Off of that, you know, he is a good Ahri player. It's good enough if he can get a roam, but it's hard to roam against a Galio. Yeah,
it's really, really hard to roam against a Galio, especially also when you don't have the jungle priority. Oh, speaking about jungle priority.
Oh, this is what we're talking about. We didn't want to see this matchup happen. Prompo looking to fight it out with Destiny. 3-town strike comes in, but so does the Stand United. So much trouble. Looking to come in for Onyx. Prompo having to flash away. God is here. Gets the knockup combo onto Librix. But here comes Krills on the backside as well as Moby. Looking to get some damage onto that Ahri. Not going to work out. Librix having to run away. God looking to finish off. Paranoia will do the job. Turret not going to land. And that is a 2-for-0 exchange in favor of Chimaera. A very scrappy fight to conclude it.
That was so close to going into the side of Onyx, because if Movie just got one single kill, he would have gotten the reset on the rocket jump and just pretty much killed every single member of Chimaera. But holy crap, that was so close, but really, really intelligently played by the side of Chimaera right here. They were just on the upper hand the entire fight. They knew how to fight. They had the entire team ready right when the fight started, and well, Onyx didn't. We just saw how team play affects this.
And the one thing that's interesting to me is this was all pretty much off the back of that Dragon Call. It's been kind of snowballing back into the favor of Chimaera. As you can see, the gold has pretty much evened back up. It is a start for Chimaera to pick up that Rift Herald, but with first brick falling very soon in this bot lane, Onyx have to act quickly.
Yeah, they really do, because they just threw a 2,000 gold lead. Well, for no really apparent reason. They just threw it in the river when there was no reason to go for anything. But this is just really, really poor play by Onyx, and well, nicely played by Chimaera, but it will be interesting to see how can they punish Onyx further right now, because they do have the engage potential still. And Stand United and Paranoia are soon up again. About, I'd say, 20 seconds for Paranoia and or something for Stand United. So it is some really, really long cooldowns. Oh no, the bind.
Well, the binding going to land. Prompo in a world of trouble. Takes a lot of damage, gets a little bit of a healing in, but it's not going to be enough healing to keep him alive as Destiny is able to finish off the kill. The mid lane siege looking so far so good for Onyx as the binding lands on KZZ. No follow-up to see suit. They rather go after that bot lane tower. They rather go after the Mountain Drake.
And we just see right here what happens to Chimaera if they don't go for it. They engage. They have to engage, because if they don't, well, the binding will hit, the taunt will hit, unstoppable onslaught can come from Cyan, and well, slowly but surely Chimaera will die if they stay. So they have to engage really quickly. And Prompo didn't even have to have his Paranoia active when he died. So when they don't have their ultis, when they're not all quite ready, well, the team just falters completely, and we just saw it right here.
So now a little bit of pushing. The plates are off. They did fall a minute ago. So this is where we start going faster and faster with the game. The turrets are going to be much more squishy. And with that, this is when the macro play starts coming in. This is officially the mid game. And with Onyx having the more considerable early game comp, it's looking a little bit questionable that they didn't pull out a bigger lead than they have right now.
Yeah, it actually is, and well, it's just kind of misplayed on the side of Onyx because it didn't have to take the fight in the river. They could just back off, lose one member, say, okay, we are fine with doing this. It's better than we all just die. And well, that was just poor microplay, not even macroplay, because well, obviously they weren't there to help the team, but they should just said, well, one die, the rest of us goes out, and well, we're fine, and they didn't. So. Now the game is quite even, and Chimaera is going to be really happy about this because Kai'Sa slowly but surely scales into the late game. But Moby's Tristana does the same as well.
Yeah, the only thing is it does take quite some time before that Tristana starts getting that really long Caitlyn-esque range, and KZZ is almost at his critical point. Just one more purchase, as you can see, is very close to, and that's when a Kai'Sa starts really turning online. Moby, however, does need that 3-item spike. You can see right there, he's starting to finish one of his Zill items, probably a rapid-fire cannon. And with that, he'll max out his Storm Razor, which will be a good burst of damage, but he won't be at his critical mass, still getting the Infinity Edge.
Yeah, it's a really good point. When Kai'Sa gets the 2 items, well, she has a really good power spike. And well, as you mentioned, Moby needs the 3 items, so if they can manage to get a fight when Kai'Sa finished her 2 items, well, they should be able to win this fight, because Jinx's Rageblade and Storm Razor are just so strong on Kai'Sa, and she can melt tanks pretty much when she gets to this point because of the hybrid damage she brings. Oh, top lane.
Yeah, once again, going for a dive onto Nizik, who's going to get a lot of that dodge, but you can't dodge death at this point. Destiny just relentless with his autos, and not only going to get a kill, going to get a tower as well. And this is the tempo Onyx needed.
I love how this gank work out. Destiny just ganks and Sion just tanks the entire tower. He doesn't even do anything except tanking. Oh no.
Ooh. Another fight gonna break out. Destiny gonna choose to engage just a knockup coming out of God, but a triple knockup to follow suit, as well as the hero's entrance. That is a triple taunt to come in. KZZ gonna fall as well as God, and on the run is Highwind. They lost 3 of their members. They lost Nizik earlier. No Stand United to save them. Another tower going into the hands of Onyx.
And this is what happens when Chimaera doesn't engage on it themselves because of paranoia. Oh no, the fine hits.
No, not like this. Highwind, supposed to be the savior of this team. The Goomba stops coming in. Moby knowing to back off, though, getting a little bit of tower aggro. The Chimaera are already suffering 18 minutes into the game with a downed inhibitor turret.
It just went from 0 to 100 in like 1 minute. Both teams were doing just fine, equal goal, and then well, the game just explodes on the side of Onyx. They got the really good team fight. Oh, Paranoia.
Paranoia comes out, but so does the rocket jump. But the Stand United to follow. Taunt has to be crucially landed, but a brilliant use of that Crescent Guard to deter it.
Well, and now Prompo just used a 2-minute cooldown as well as nicely used the 3-minute cooldown of Stand United. So well, this is going to be 2 and 3 minutes where Chimaera are kinda, well, chained. They can't really do anything except just look. They can't engage because the entire engage just went out for nothing. They do still have the Alistar and Huygen on Ari, but well, what are they going to do? I'd say Baron is up in 45 seconds. Onyx can just go for it. They can just brute force the play.
A little bit risky to go for the 50-50, as you can see. Vision being established. Kirill's, Librix looking to find a little bit of a pick, but Control Ward going to thwart that one. As the split push does come out, teleport is available for Llama. Nizak will look to contest, but Llama is not afraid of this fight. Going to get a lot of knockups in. It is a very tanky Sion. Tanky Shen as well. Wet noodle fights, they always continue.
Yeah, but in the team fights, Sion is clearly the best champion because, well, Shen can use the Stand United, which is really good and brings a lot of survivability for Prompo's Nocturne, but, well, I feel like he doesn't really do anything else in this. He can maybe get a good flash taunt, but Sion is just this enormous tank with the unstoppable onslaught. He just brings so much CC to a team fight. I feel like Chimaera is really missing out on some CC in the top lane.
And on top of that, not even the CC itself, the zoning.
Yeah.
Even though that knockup takes forever, no one wants to stand and wait for that knockup to come down on you. You have to move out of the way, and the time you're moving out of the way is the time spent not doing damage, as another tower goes down for Onyx in the bot lane.
Yeah, and the gold, you just got to 5,000 gold, so well, Onyx are just doing just fine. This is only 20 minutes into the game, and they have a scaling composition, so they are as happy as you can be.
Taking a look at the items so far, Gwinsu's Rage Blade was picked up by KZZ. Crucial item, but at this stage of the game, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Even with Moby not completing the Infinity Edge, he has enough damage to bring it to a fight when it's just 21 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it's kind of too late, and Moby will get the Infinity Edge eventually. He only needs about 2,000 gold, so I'd say this is just still fine for the side of Onyx, and they have this Galio in the mid lane, such a strong champion, especially with Destiny's Sinsar, because he just brings so much damage and survivability. Also finishes his Sterek's Gate, so he's going to be really, really tanky actually in the team fights. Also, when he pops Crescent's Guard, well, this just means that KCC can't deal any damage to him.
Now, here's a little interesting thing going on. Prompo has opted to go with the Duskblade, which is fine. At this point, do you think he's going to continue going with the damage and go for the one-shot the ADC build? Or do you think he might go for something a little bit utility or tanky?
He might go for the Guardian's Angel. That is something you often see on Noxin. Sometimes even a second item, Guardian Angel, can actually be really, really useful. But if he does get this item, that will mean Prompo can be a really, really big thorn in the side for the side of Onyx. Since sure, when he dives in, he dies really quickly, but when he respawns, he does buy some time for Chimaera. I'd say Guardian's Angel would probably be the better item right here. Also because of stopwatch. Ooh, Moby.
Oh, on the attack on Highwind, quite a few autos to come in. That's all you needed to send him packing to the respawn. Get him to collect his health a little bit as the push still comes in. The Baron call has been made. Onyx started up.
You have to question right now, who can Prompo even dive onto on one shot? The only one I can see is Moby, but he does have Buster Shot and Rocket Jump, so such a hard target to kill. We do see a level advantage actually for Prompo, so maybe you can get to outsmite, but here the TP comes.
A teleport coming in, 3,000 health remains. You see the Paranoia quite soon. Prompo gonna go with the Paranoia, but doesn't have enough vision to go, and finally decides to go and get the Baron steal. Prompo, absolute magic to steal that one. But is it gonna be enough? Chimaera taking a lot of damage. Highwind has to back off. The hero's entrance coming soon. It's gonna absolutely zone God as he's gonna be the next one to fall. Lots of damage coming in onto Llama. He's gonna survive. Moby gonna use the blast plant to send Highwind away. Baron achieved by Chimaera. Low health bars on the side of Onyx, but they still want to make Chimaera pay for that Baron, and they want it paid for in an inhibitor, but finally realizing this might be too risky. Gonna take the recall instead.
Prompo just saved the game. If they have gotten this Baron buff on the side of Onyx, well, that was just been game over, because Tristana with Baron buff is just so strong. I'd say this Baron buff doesn't really matter that much on the side of Chimaera, because they are still behind, but when you are behind, it's kind of like get the first Baron to secure the game, doesn't end too quickly, get the second Baron to win, and right now they're happy still with getting a Baron. They can slowly but surely push out the waves and try to make sure that Onyx doesn't just straight out win the game already.
Now with that Baron, they get to stall out the game a little bit more and get some more gold income. The thing is...
No. Nice.
Oh, this is looking bad for Isaac. Taunt's gonna come in. Moby's there. That's all the damage you need. Moby on a rampage.
That's just so greedy on the side of Chimaera and Isaac to go that far into the bot lane where you have basically no intel and vision in the blue side jungle or blue jungle on the red side, because he didn't have any intel on the members on Onyx. Well, of course he has Baron buff, he wants to push, but you can't push out that far when you don't have any vision. Just poor macro play right here.
Now Onyx trying to set up for a siege, but it's very tricky when it's a Baron defended siege. Even though Onyx might come with a net gold win, a fight breaking out in the mid lane. Destiny choosing to fight a little bit more. The turret gonna go down. Out goes the Paranoia. Crescent Guard gonna protect him a little bit longer, but the flash forward absolutely destroys that Crescent Guard. Prompo able to pick up a kill. But still, the base cracked again, but no inhibitors down. Onyx just can't find it.
Yeah, they do get the tower, so trading a kill for a tower is just fine, but they have to make sure they don't die even more right now. Oh, this might be really, really cheeky. I think they had vision on Moby right here. Killer. Oh, Void Seeker. Oh no!
This is terrible. Moby gonna get hit by the charm. Damage comes in. KZZ takes him down. Krill on the run, but the autos pile up. Double kill going over to KZZ. Llama has no choice but to run, and so does Librix. Concede. Chimaera, the dragon.
That was really, really greedy on the side of Onyx, especially also Moby. Why did it go out that far from the brush? Well, they could just see him. That was that was interesting to say the least. But right now the gold lead is getting smaller and smaller, and the further you get into a game, well, the less a gold lead really means. And the Kaiser, well, she will soon get the three items. But look, when you were talking about 3 items, look at Moby right here. He got the Infinity Hits, Storm Racer, and Rapid Fire Cannon. Even though he just kind of suicided, he's a really, really strong guy right now.
No doubt. And this could be Chimaera's window to get back into the game. You can see right there, Runan's Hurricane just built by KZZ. And he's already built up a bounty of his own. He's getting the proper positioning. He's finding the right targets. Chimaera is definitely not out of this game. In fact, this could be the comeback.
This could definitely be the comeback, but this still... If Prompo doesn't get a kill with his Paranoia, well, they're kind of chained for the next 2 minutes. Also, we mentioned what would he get for his third item. I'm so happy right now because what I predicted was what he picked. He does go for the Guardian's Angel. And this will be really, really important in the team fight, because when he dives in to the backline on Moby or Krells, well, it's going to be so important that he die and he buys time for his team when he is in the Guardian's Angel, because Onyx has to be careful of this Nocturne. When he respawns, he can still deal a lot of damage, and it's 4 seconds he's out. So when you team fight, you have to make sure that you can't kill him when he respawns. So it's 4 seconds where you kind of have to say, okay guys, we can push forward, but we still have to be careful of this guy respawning.
And fight gonna break out in the jungle. That Guardian Angel already popped through some mispositioning. God gonna come up. The taunt follows suit. Lots of damage going both ways, but Onyx are looking the victors of this fight thus far as the Goomba stops come in once again. Highwind on the run. Double kill going over to Moby. And that's some crucial pickups right there. 3 down, Prompo, Highwind, KZZ. This means finally, at last, Onyx are gonna find some inhibitors.
That is so unfortunate for Camille. We're just talking about the comeback. Casa definitely still alive because they might just lose the game right here.
20 seconds left on Prompo, 15 left on KZZ. The turrets are falling very quickly. Moby trying his best to defend it. Nizik goes forward, and so does God, but all that damage comes in from that 3-item Tristana. No tank can brace for that, and with the Nexus exposed, with the ace going through, Onyx, they're gonna take game number 1.
And I'd say quite convincingly, even though they threw a couple of times, well, it's still a substantial goal lead. They had pretty much the entire game. They threw it like twice and got it back really quickly. So I'd say it's Onyx really, really showing this game they are the better team macro-wise. They go for the plays together. When Chimaera goes for plays, well, it kind of feels like it's a bit random. Nocturne goes for the Paranoia, doesn't get any kills. Nizik follows up with the Stand United, doesn't get any kills either, and they just lose objective, lose kills, and eventually they just lose the game because of poor micro plays and poor macro plays.
Yeah, but it wasn't a flawless game though. What we should have seen from Onyx was a dominating early game thanks to the lane control they drafted. It should have been all neutral objectives going to them. They did not do that. In fact, they started throwing it away when they left priority over to Chimaera in the mid lane, which enabled the comeback from Chimaera. On top of that, the Baron steal to come out of Prompo was absolutely beautiful, and it almost let Chimaera back into the game. The thing is, Onyx, they do have the superior macro, and those choices to keep hiding in the jungle of Chimaera and find picks through that, brilliant.
Yeah, really, really good. Also, when you look at the damage dealt to champions, well, Onyx just deals so much damage. Actually, Llama in the top lane on this Sire actually dealt almost dealt more damage than Ari on the side of Chimaera. So this just also tells a story. When the team fights started, they couldn't even deal any damage on the side of Chimaera because it just died so quickly or got taunted and just had to leave the team fight. So it's just also just a straight out stronger composition we saw right here from the side of Onyx, because Chimaera's composition was built pretty much around one thing and one thing only, which was diving. And when they didn't get the proper dive off, well, they just died instantly.
Yeah. Hopefully Chimaera can adjust and find a better win condition, but that's game number 1 in the books. Not end of the line yet, because Chimaera does have a potential game to come back. Stay tuned. We're going to throw it over to a short break, and when we return, game number 2, Onyx versus Chimaera.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you play for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. Serenity, but you'll never see the price it costs. The scars collected all their lives. When everything's lost, they pick up their hearts and avenge defeat. Before it all starts, they suffer through harm just to touch a dream. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, legends never die. When the world is calling out your name, begging you to fight. Pick yourself up once more. Pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the delay. Bathroom break. Absolutely required. We are getting into the Champ Select. Team Chimaera versus Team Onyx. Game number 2 is underway as Aatrox, Morgana, Galio, Renekton, Lissandra, and Lucian taken off the map. Not going to see that classic Galio versus Lissandra matchup, but also not having any of those Renekton 1 tricks in our way.
Yeah, still the Renekton ban, but this time around we do see the Galio ban. I'd say, even though we didn't really see any highlight reel plays from Onyx on mid lane on the Galio, well, it was still a really important champion because of the amount of the damage and the survivability and CC he brings to a team. So I'd say this is a really great ban. I'm still questioning the Morgana ban, the Morgana pick we saw in last game. I'd say they're much stronger champions right now, but perhaps they just don't want to face the Morgana. Maybe they want to go for Alistar themselves in the bot lane. And we do see the Tristana here from Mubi as well, so if it ain't broke, why fix it? Don't fix it. What's it called?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, there you are. Thank you.
Yeah, banning the Morgana, it's a thing. It's a diverse champion that could possibly ruin some of your strategies. We won't know until we see more of this draft, but the Urgot going in first, no surprise there. One of the bullies of the top, including Aatrox, who is off the board right now. Tristana, as he said, not broke, don't fix it, but Thresh, that is bound to be a fun pick. Getting countered out by the Ezreal might hurt, though.
Yeah, or does it even? Because generally, when you pick the Ezreal, you just say, screw laning phase, I want a support that can roam. It's something like Pyke. You often see Pyke Ezreal is a really strong bot lane because, well, Ezreal, he can farm from a really long distance, and Pyke can roam to mid. He can roam in jungle, even top lane if he wants to. I feel like Ezreal Alistar shouldn't be that strong of lane because Ezreal isn't really a strong laner, and Alistar, he wants a strong laner to engage with, and we're not seeing it this time around. I feel like this might be poor drafting right here from Chimaera because they don't really fit that well together. Also, Thresh is a really strong champion in the lane, actually can be used for counter to champions like Alistar. So I'd say it should be the side of Onyx, which has a greater lane, even though, as you mentioned, Ezreal does counter Thresh.
I do think Chimaera's draft so far is not bad, because they haven't finished the draft. It all depends on the objective they follow through with. Now, Ezreal, he has been buffed in the preseason, both directly and inadvertently. We saw the changes to Kleptomancy, which is now 2 procs in a row every time you use a spell, as well as some WAP ratios being bumped all the way up. So he is in a pretty good state right now. Going it with the Alistar, though, I feel it's either a little bit too safe, or you're just so comfortable on the Alistar being a meta pick that you feel like you don't want to give it away to Onyx. I'm not 100% sure, but with the Hecarim being hovered, I'm very interested on this pick, because Prompo, as I said, he doesn't do that well when it comes to meta junglers, but he does do very well on a little bit of off-meta things like Rammus, Gragas, and of course his Hecarim. Cassiopeia as well is a pretty big deal.
I love Cassiopeia. Really, I just love these like kind of weird picks in mid lane, and Cassiopeia is definitely a weird pick, I'd say. That this game is going to be really interesting because Hecarim could be a really strong early game jungler, as well as Cassiopeia. When she does go for this new build with Luden's Echo and Arcane Comet, she is also a really strong early and mid game champion. Normally you'd pick Cassiopeia for the late game she brings with the team fights, but when you go for this other item building and guild leveling, you get the stronger Cassiopeia in the mid game, especially when Hecarim and Ezreal and Urgot all are really strong. So this time around, we don't see a team from Chimaera that only focuses on one thing, because we have engaged, we have disengaged, wave clear, poke. We have a lot of different aspects in this game.
And I'm actually starting to doubt Onyx a little bit, because rounding out their draft with Yasuo, while it does do pretty well with Sion, Tristana, Thresh, Gragas, all of them have knockups in some sort of way. Even Tristana's Buster Shot counts as a knockup when it starts the pushback.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
In terms of the lane itself, that is not a fun thing to go through. The Miasma completely negates his dashes the longer he stays in it. And if he's caught out at any moment with his pants down where he goes too far and the Miasma goes behind him, one gank from Hecarim is all you really need to start shutting down that Yasuo.
Yeah, that's true, but I still say the Yasuo versus Cassiopeia matchup is a skill matchup, and I would actually say it still favors the Yasuo. True, Miasma is really great, especially for ganking, but Yasuo can use the wind wall, also his E, whatever it's called, dashing around and making sure Cassiopeia can't hit her Qs, because if the target Cassiopeia isn't poisoned, well, her Swing Fang, her E, doesn't really do any damage, so this matchup is hard for Cassiopeia, and it's hard for Yasuo as well. It's still a skill matchup, but I would favor in the side of Yasuo, but I still see your point. Miasma is so good for team play and so good for ganks.
Yeah, then getting a look at the bottom lane once again. We do have to stare down there a little bit. Alistair does level up quite well when it comes to going towards the mid game, but Thresh dominates the map early. The Death Sentence usually grabs the boots of mobility, I believe you were saying that earlier, and could just go from lane to lane going with Death Sentence, Lanterns, Flays, all days.
Yeah, this is generally you pick the Thresh for the laning phase. For example, Thresh versus Rakan, you pick the Thresh into Rakan just to say screw your team fighting potential, screw your roam potential, I just want to kill you in the lane. Also, the Thresh kinda indicates you want to do the same, because Thresh isn't really a strong late game champion or mid game, as you point out Alistar is. He just wants to kill you, be in your face in the laning phase, and especially when you play against a weaker ADC in the lane as Ezreal as well. This might be a really brutal lane, because sure, Alistar is a tank, but pre-level 6 he isn't tanky at all, and we saw that in game 1, where Onyx really punished Chimaera for picking the Alistar.
Yeah, I think a lot of it really does depend, though, because ultimately the bot lane of Onyx will be pushing in a lot. It just depends on if KZZ can land his Mystic shots, because with the Kleptomancy changes, Ezreal can passively scale without ever getting into an actual fight really quickly if he can ramp up those Kleptomancy procs like no tomorrow. So there's so many variables in this bot lane that you have to keep in mind, but just from the way Onyx's bot lane played last game, I still want to favor them, because that was some beautiful play, constantly pushed in and had control of that lane getting to the end.
This might just be Onyx saying, screw it, we are too good, because last game, if they didn't do the stupid mistakes where they threw the gold lead, they could easily have won the game at 22-minute mark if they got the Baron, if Prompo didn't steal the Baron. This time around, they might just say, well, we're going to style on them with the Yasuo Gragas Cyan knock-up combo. I kind of feels like it looks a bit like it, because generally when you pick the Yasuo, it's kind of like the highlight reel play champion, the styling champion, especially against something like a Cassiopeia Urgot, which isn't really that great of a matchup later on into the game. Because sure, I'd say Cassiopeia Yasuo matchup should favor the Yasuo, but the longer you get into the game, the harder it is, because you can just send Urgot against the Yasuo, and Urgot should be a champion that can easily destroy Yasuo.
Yeah, quite easily, and you never know when the death, fear beyond death, there we go, is gonna land on in. Usually a lot of Urgots will squeeze that in early just because you don't even see it.
Yeah,
and then from there out, it's like auto, use every bit of your crab legs to get in as much damage as possible. And the moment they're like, I might as well back off now, that's when the fear beyond death hook comes in. So you always have to be careful to play around that one. It could also happen in the top lane as well. There's a lot of things we have to take into consideration, but overall, trying to look at the conditions of this game, I do like Chimaera's comp a little bit more in the grand scheme of things, even if we're not just looking at laning alone, because it has a mid-game win condition, it has early game potential, and it has a late game dominator in the Cassiopeia.
Yeah, you're completely right. Like we saw last game, that composition could only do one thing, and it couldn't even do it properly. This time around, we have a really diverse composition. Urgot is such a strong laner. He's just such a strong team fighter as well. He could get, I sometimes pronounce this a bit German, righteous glory, and just storm into the team fights. Can go for the unsealed spellbook with Ghost. Hecarim should be good team fighter as well. Cassiopeia is a great team fighter, and you still have to wave clear. You still have to poke. Also, I'd say good skirmish potential of Hecarim. So a really good composition we see this time around from Chimaera. But it will still be interesting to see how the bot lane plays out, because you mentioned you would say this still favors the side of Onyx because of just how well Moby and Krill's played, and I agree with you because they have threats this time around. They can go for plays in the lane. Last time around they had Morgana. This is kind of the same. It's a skill shot where if you hit it, well, you can easily kill the opponent.
Yeah, it works exactly the same way, as in it's just kind of a pick champ. You could do the same thing that we saw in game 1. You can hide in the bush and just wait for them to get close enough, except it's not a dark binding, it's a death sentence, which a death sentence can be a little bit more scary than a dark binding given the situation.
Yeah.
But then taking a look at the rest of the comp, the one thing you do have to commend Onyx on is they do have a very definitive front line. Having that Scion, which we saw in last game, can be an absolute nuisance to kill and can be a nuisance on the battlefield, as well as having the Gragas that does an amazing job of just disrupting, explosive cask, body slam all day, and the zoning tool of the box. If we go into a team fight scenario, Onyx has a pretty good one if they can get the gold lead to stay relatively even and get towards the later half of the game.
But this time around, Nysik actually got the counter pick. He definitely does have the greater pick in the top lane, because Urgot Scion is a matchup we see a lot. Often it's just blue side picking Urgot first pick because it's such a great champion, and red side just said, well, okay, fine, we go Scion, none of it kills, we're happy. But it's not always this how this unfolds, because Urgot is such a strong laner. When he gets level 6, when he gets a Fear Beyond Death and Ignite from Unsealed Spellbook, he can easily kill Scion even though he's supposed to be a tank.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of these laners have come to the front of the meta, both Scion, Urgot, and Aatrox, is because they're just tanky boys that do way too much damage for what they're supposed to do. But we are hitting the rift now. Game number 2 is underway. Team Chimaera versus Team Onyx. Let us know in chat who you think is going to win. And these teams looking to do just a little bit of a vision spread, not go for anything aggressive early.
Yeah, this is standard like positioning. I'd say there's not. Oh, never mind. I should probably stop talking. This is an invade actually.
Invade coming in. Librix on the run, but the knockup to follow suit.
Oh,
telling Prompo to run away, but Librix wants to turn this around. Destiny able to get that barrel in. First blood going over to Librix, and that's all you need if you're Onyx. You walk away happy.
What were they thinking? Prompo doesn't have flash because he went for the ghost, and they still went for this invade. That was just... I'm just gonna say that was dumb. That looked so silly. They just got sandwiched because they didn't expect Destiny to be around. They expected him to be a blue buff, and suddenly there was just fat Gragas. Shouldn't be too big of a difference because Prompo didn't use any summoner spells, but Librix does get the kill. However, he does burn a potion actually, so that might be really hard for him in the early parts of the lane if... how do you even pronounce the mid laner? Hywin gets some poke off.
Oh. Now getting into this whole situation and starting off and thinking about what this first blood has in terms of an impact. Librix on this Yasuo, it is a scaling champ that does take a bit to go, and considering Hywin is on a scaling champ, whoever does scale first, the fastest, is bound to win this one. So it's sitting pretty for Librix right now. He does need a little bit of time to get at least his first item. Typically, we see a crit item come first, maybe something like a Phantom Dancer. But once he gets that, that's when Hywin has to absolutely be careful.
Yeah, he really has to be careful when the QSS does go through. Also, this is a Exhaust Cassiopeia versus Ignite Yasuo. Of course, Exhaust is quite often seen against champions like Yasuo, but this means the kill pressure is really on from Librix, and Hywin, he just kind of wants to survive the lane, which is the right call, I'd say.
Yeah, as this matchup goes on a little bit more, you can see Destiny headed up towards the top side. Death Sentence, meanwhile, on the bot lane, Double Flay not going to land because of the Arcane Shift coming out in time, but sending your attention back towards that top lane. Isaac in a lot of trouble. The Cask doing a lot of work. As one more fist, Llama able to find a kill, and Onyx still securing their early game lead.
Oh no!
Oh, this is looking terrible for KZZ. Has to use the heal, but one more flash forward coming out of Moby is going to ensure that kill comes in. And a beautiful use of the Lantern. Moby makes his escape.
That was so cheeky played from, well, both Moby and Curls. The flash when Moby got the Lantern was perfectly executed, but why on earth would KCC go back? He just tanked a free auto from Moby. He didn't even really have to do it. Flash out. If he had just walked into the tower, he would have survived for sure.
And we are once again seeing early game dominance that Onyx that we saw Onyx bring in game number 1. It's happening again thus far, even in the mid lane, top lane, bot lane. All the lanes are just Onyx sided.
Yeah, really isn't. Right now, Human has to be really careful in the lane because Librix has the Ignite. He has to flash up. The tower dive can very much be true right here because Exhaust, well, it only does that much. And already it's like only 4 minutes into the game, we see a 1.2k gold lead. That is such a big gold lead this early on into the game.
Yeah, this early, 4 minutes. It doesn't get much earlier than that to have this kind of gold lead that actually has a viable impact. If we actually take a look at the gold between players, actually, gotta hold that thought because I'm saying the word actually too much, but Librix did get ganked during that. Directed Cam did not want to focus on it. He was able to survive, didn't have to burn flash, but meanwhile in the top lane, Nizik looking to fight it out with Llama, but he's put himself in a bad spot. The chop comes down, and Llama takes down Nizik.
Why did he disdain into Llama? He should have used the disdain to get away. That was such a big misplay. Nizik dies in the favorable 1v1 matchup. This is just really poor played. Oh no, mid lane.
Oh, a lot of trouble for Highwind. In fact, the flash. That's all you need. Another kill going over to Librix that starts up his bounty and gives him about a 1k gold lead ahead of his lane opponent.
Yeah, I'd say this can just keep happening because now Librix is level 6. I should stop speaking Danish. He is level 6. He got the last breath. It would be so dangerous for Human in the lane.
Now here's where it's rough for Chimaera. They have to figure out a way to get back in. They do have some great scalers, so all it comes down to is the stalling game. If they keep the gold where it is right now, even with the deficit, they're not too bad off if they can get to like a 20-minute mark where that gold difference doesn't really mean anything. At this point, though, it's easier said than done because there's so much pushing going on in every lane, and we might see a game coming here. Destiny looking to set up a last breath. It does follow suit. Highwind, Petrifying Gaze goes out, but the wind wall came in just in time. But here comes backup. Frompo going right after Destiny. Gets a lot of damage in, but can't finish him off. Over 100 health remains on Destiny. Librix will be the next one to fall. Feeds the kill over to Highwind. Now looking to chase down Destiny, but Destiny with the body slam able to escape, and Chimaera are on the board.
Really good counter gank right here from Frompo. Exactly what you need when you are this far behind. Still, the gold lead is about 2,000 gold, but excellent play right here on the side of Chimaera. I thought it was just completely horrible from Human, but he does survive, and this brings him into the game because look, the CS difference isn't there at all anymore. It's only a kill difference of 1, and they even got the shutdown.
Yeah, and that shutdown going over is crucial for Highwind. That was a lot of patience out of Frompo to not go for that kill and let his mid laner get that kill, because Highwind desperately needed that to close the gap. We were saying 1k earlier, now it's just 300 gold, so a lot of relief for him.
Yeah, 300 gold is definitely what you want to see right now, and this should secure Human's laning phase because, well, he did blow the flash, but as Librix did the same, so he should be just fine. Ignite is up soon, so he does have to be careful. Also, the gank from Destiny can still be live because the cask is up and flash body slam. this game I would say we should be really mid-orientated, because like snowball is champion, he can easily just win the game off a fed Yasuo.
And one thing I want to point out right now, Onyx, their positioning to get that dragon was absolutely immaculate. You saw that Librix pushed in the lane this time off of the recall of Highwind, and that's when they made the dragon call because the bot lane was already pushed. So they had priority in both mid lane and bot lane before deciding it was time to go for the Drake. So you can see right there that Onyx have learned from their mistakes and are already making adaptations to it.
Yeah, this is really important. Oh, engaging mid lane.
Again, last breath. So much damage on a Highwind, but here comes back up. Prompo gets so much return damage and is able to take down at the cost of his life Librix, but saves his mid laner.
That was so close. I almost screamed because Librix actually dodged the petrifying gates with his E, his dash onto a minion, but holy crap, Prompo is the savior. It does die, but I guess it's okay. Oh, no mind, it's not okay, because look at the turret plating right here. They just got another kill purely off of the turret plating gold.
Those turret plates, they add up. You have to respect them. 2K lead in favor of Team Onyx. As we take a look at the replay right now, disgusting play to come out of Prompo, who came in the nick of time to save his ally. Even though Prompo does fall, huge credit to him to be able to pick up that kill and save Highwind. As we continue on this matchup, it's looking pretty good for Onyx thus far. You got to give it to him.
Yeah, it's looking really good for Onyx, but we saw it as well in last game. They just dominated in the laning phase. 6 kills already, so they're doing just fine, and they have a scaling composition. Tristana's a monster in late game. Yasuo's really good in late game, as well as Sion. But it's not over at all, because still also has a scaling composition. Urgot is really monster in late game, brings so much damage just because of the Fear Beyond Death. Cassiopeia also really strong, and Ezreal, his scaling is just fine. Oh, okay. Oh no.
Uh-oh. Last breath on the Prompo, but Prompo does have a bit of movement speed left. Explosive cast gonna negate some of that, and with the ignite, that might be all she wrote. Prompo falls to ignite, but Highwind trying to find a redemption kill. Gets a bit of damage off onto Destiny, able to find the kill. Over the wall is Nizek. Nizek jumps in to save his ally, but you gotta watch the positioning there. Petrifying gaze, Fear Beyond Death. Nizek takes down Librix.
It feels like right now, Chimaera is actually just purely outskilling Onyx right now. The 2v2, I'd say, should be really highly favored onto the side of Onyx. It's just, well, not playing as it should. They're too greedy, they're going for plays too much, and Prompo is just really punishing. Well, and Huiving played this matchup, this game is really well. Oh, tower dive? No mind. But something really important that we have to point out is Huiving went for the Arcane Staff. This is a huge mistake. You don't do this anymore. You go for Luden's Echo. He even got the Arcane Comet. When you go for the Arcane Comet, you go for Luden's Echo, not Arcane Staff. This is just a huge mistake. And it's top lane. Oh no.
Oh, that was also a huge mistake.
That was also a huge mistake.
I'm trying to find some of the reasoning, and I do feel like he's afraid of Librix right now, so he's going the Archangel Staff for the sake of the shield that you can get later. That's the only rationale I can apply to it, but to be put into that situation is already rough enough as it is as Highwind. Now realizing it's a bad spot, but Prompo's going to show up, get a bit of damage in, but gets absolutely intercepted. Prompo does not get Librix. Librix gets him instead, moving a lot of shots going through, but Krill's critically low, will be the first one to fall. KZZ able to take down Krill's, but Librix chasing down Highwind and slaying the Serpents as Librix continues to go forward over the wall. Goes KZZ, Mystic Shot follows suit, and a double kill going over to KZZ.
So far, 2 for 2, so well, Chimaera should be, well, pretty happy about this, but look at the top lane. Tower is going to be so low, and Nizek actually expended the TP for this. And look, Lama, he still has teleport, so this is going to be, what, 5 minutes, excuse me, 6 minutes, where Onyx should have the upper hand when they go for team fights, because Lama can just TP into the fight or even use Unstoppable Onslaught to follow up. Also, the first big tower just went down. So, well, 4,000 gold lead right now for Onyx.
And not just that. That was first brick with turret plates.
Oh, yeah.
Llama was able to collect all of that by himself. And look at how many kills the dude has. He's 401 with the 750 bounty on him. And he has almost a 3k lead by himself onto his lane opponent, but got to hold that up because of attack going on. I win! Doesn't last long. Now Destiny versus Isaac. The Fear Beyond Death goes out and devours the soul of Destiny. Now Prompto is here, and he's looking to save his ally, help him out. Out goes the onslaught. And Llama, you got nowhere to go, my friend. You don't have an ultimate. Goes for the knockup, looks to find a redemption kill. Grills is here, might be able to help out his ally, looking to turn this one around. Now Prompto has to clippity-cloppity on out there because he's deep into no man's land. One more auto does it. Moby able to take him down, and Onyx turn it around.
That was so close, but really, really good hook from Grills. He didn't go for the hook on Isaac for the kill. He actually hooked Hecarim Prompto to secure Llama's survival. That was so well played right here from, and it just feels like right now Onyx is just completely outskilling. Oh no.
Oh, that's the worst spot to be in. Forces the flash out of KZZ. Librix doesn't feel like he wants to push his advantage anymore. He got what he came for and will feel good when he goes on the next assault.
I'm still really questioning this Arcane stuff, but I guess this is how it's going to be. Just a really huge mistake. Arcane Staff is still fine, but you have to go for the Phase Rush instead of Arcane Comet. Oh no. God,
not looking good for God, who's forced to use his ultimate to stay in this one. Knocks back Librix. Gonna be fined off. Dragon Control going over to Onyx. That's gonna be double Mountain Drake. Watch your objectives, because Onyx is gonna be right after it.
And double Mountain Drake with a composition that has Tristana. And even look, Rift Herald is going to get popped. How are they going to answer this turret siege right now? Because Tristana has a long range, he's even fed, and there's no real wave clear right here from the side of Chimaera because they don't have the Cassiopeia Ludens Echo.
True Shot Barrage goes out, but that is the nerfed True Shot Barrage. Does 50% less damage to minions now. As the defense does go through, it was a double charge from Shelly.
Oh, this
is over the wall in Destiny. Going back and forth, and he still gets to get the Raptor camp. So you got to feel good about that one. But Onyx looking to control the jungle of Chimaera. As the turret does go down into top lane, Llama just dancing on around. Realizes how tanky he is, has no fear, just gonna body block for his teammate. As the red buff goes over to Destiny, the knockup comes in. Prompto a little bit too close. You don't want to risk your life for a red buff, but out goes the death sentence, and sentenced to death is Prompto as the Goomba Stomp comes out. Moby looking the KZZ eats more damage instead as the siege is coming up. Onyx want to keep pressing the tempo. God, the next one to fall. Petrifying Gaze goes out as well as the death sentence. High win, and KZZ want to turn this one around, but they got to be careful who they walk into. Nizik looks to go for a flank, but he's walking into the wandering arms of Moby and Librix. You got to watch out for the Fear Beyond Death as he's barely able to survive. Moby takes down with the assistance of Destiny, but out goes the True Shot Barrage. Shut down. KZZ picks up a kill.
We mentioned that they might just pick this Yasuo just to style on Chimaera, and just it feels like Onyx is just styling right now. They're playing so well. They didn't play well together for like 10 minutes ago, but right now they're playing really well, going for good team fights. But it also feels like Chimaera is sometimes playing blindly. This Prompto going straight into the red buff for no apparent reason. He saw it being killed and he still went into the bush. That didn't make any sense, but it's Onyx punishing really well and playing together exceptionally good.
And it really doesn't make no sense. I really want to emphasize that, because red buff, you saw that there was 3 people there. You saw that Onyx was just piling up there. There's no reason to sacrifice your life for a red buff. If this was 20 minutes in the game, Onyx would be doing Baron right now. So you got to be careful when you do choices like that have such a high risk for almost no payout.
I just thought the next dragon that was going to spawn was a Mountain Drake. It is the Cloud Drake, so it won't be the triple Mountain Drake this early on into the game, but still, they can take Baron so quickly with the Yasuo and Tristana. Actually, Yasuo can even tank up the Baron with the Wind Wall, and they have to sign for the tank. So I'd say at 20-minute mark, if the game isn't over at that point, well, Baron will die so quickly.
Some purchases come in. Rare mana. Picked up by KZZ. Able to complete his Tear of the Goddess. You're going to see a jump in damage, but the fact that he didn't go the Trinity Force build shows how afraid he is of the damage of Onyx, specifically Librix, getting onto him. It gives him a little bit more of a fighting chance, but it is slow on slow, because now you have the Frozen Fist versus the Frozen Mallet.
Yeah, but KCC really has to go for the Iceborne Gauntlet right here, because there's just so much physical damage on the side of Onyx. Oh my god!
Oh, so much damage! Highwind able to survive, but just barely. He's on the run. Doesn't work out. Moby cleans up the kill, but Highwind's poison takes down Moby in the process. Now Llama looking to try and survive. Prompto getting a lot of damage in, as well as his ultimate, but knockups cannot go through because Nizek will not let it happen. Getting shut down at the hands of Nizek. Llama has nothing. Nothing. Tries to chase him down with the zombie form, but you're not going to find much there. It was all for looks at that point.
That was such a deep dive from Onyx onto the second tier tower. A bit too greedy, and really good petrifying gaze from Highwind, which really punished Onyx, but they're still going to be just fine. Still a 6k gold lead 20 minutes into the game, and in 10 seconds Baron is going to be spawning. And look, we have so many control wards right here in the pockets of Onyx. They're just going to set up vision right now, control the river, and start the Baron, or at least bait it.
They can go for Baron, they can go for Dragon. Both are just barely going live. And they do have a lot of deep vision. You're seeing right there in the jungle of Chimaera. Every single entrance has a ward on it. As well as some control wards now going up. You can see it's really setting in that Baron is a priority. And Onyx, Dragon first. Get the easy objective, no contest, going to come out of Chimaera. And they're feeling alright. They can rotate around the map and feel safe about doing it because they have such a lead. They're so powerful right now. There's not much Chimaera could do if they end up in a 5v5 team fight.
No, there really isn't. Like, the only thing they can pray for is either get a team fight under your own tower, or get a team fight in Baron Pit and get like the beautiful petrifying gaze. Oh no, Nizek.
Oh, but you don't want to pray for this one. Nizek gets caught out, explosive cast, the chop to knock up, and everyone has shown up but Waluigi to take down this tower.
Good execution right here. Oh, unstoppable onslaught.
Oh, the onslaught comes through, but KCZ will be able to dodge it. That's still a very tanky boy who's tanking that tower. Libix runs away. The base has been cracked. Chimaera on the defensive, trying their best to defend this inhibitor, but it's taking a lot of damage. Mystic shots flying left and right. It does look like Chimaera will be able to defend this inhibitor, as Onyx don't want to full on communicate, but they get the death sentence onto Highwind, and that is a priority target going down. The Goombas for days to come out of Moby, forcing the flash out of KC, taking a flash forward, but here comes Nizek. Nizek gets a lot of damage onto Moby, able to chase him away, but now he's caught into no man's land and gets chopped down. Destiny picks up that kill, and with 4 members down, this could be all she wrote as Onyx looks to deconstruct the base of Chimaera.
Really just Chimaera stomping. Oh, poor KCC. He's going to go down right here. But Chimaera just really stomping this game, styling, showing who's the better team, macro-wise and micro-wise. We saw Prompo and Hui go for some really good plays early on into the game, but it's just not enough. Llama like purely outskilled Nizek. Also, Moby and Krill's played so well in the bot lane. We just saw it this game. Like, micro play is still so important. Because if you get a hit in early game, well, it just sets the game off so quickly.
Yeah. And that was the story of this. Early game domination out of Team Onyx. Every single lane was ahead. And that was without the help of Destiny. We're watching that, and just Destiny did do his part in controlling the mid game, but early on he wasn't really needed. Librix did domination onto Highwind and made his life hell. Moby and Creels did what they do and controlled the lane and kept KBCZ and God stuck under that tower, taking plate after plate. And Llama, goodness gracious, Llama going 4-0 so early, got the solo turret gold as well as all the plates that come with it. Onyx were on fire that game.
Yeah, it just really shouldn't happen up in the top lane that Llama solo kills Nysig when Nysig got the counter pick, the stronger pick in the laning phase. Also when he got Unsealed Spellbook, and it just shouldn't happen. I'm baffled at Llama solo killing Nysig like a couple of times. That shouldn't be going on, but it did. I'm just so questioning this top lane matchup right here, because it just shouldn't happen. Llama just really showcased this game. He's the better top lane.
Yeah, and now we do got to look at the stats. I want to see these damage charts because there's so many questions as to who did the most. Librix makes perfect sense there. That dude was always fighting, but the little bit of the surprise one was Llama out damaging anyone on the side of Chimaera.
That's amazing, to be honest. But yeah, as you mentioned, there's just a theme of the game: win lane, win game, and that's purely, I'd say, what Onyx did right here. Because sure, the macro play was fine. Macro play in laning phase was just superior in every aspect.
Yeah, it was on so many levels. Win lane, win game. And even to dissect this a little bit more, going into game 1, we saw faults in Onyx's game plan. In game 2, they look like, oh yeah, we messed up here, we messed up there. We're gonna fix that and not do the same mistakes. And that's what we saw. There weren't any real macro level mistakes anymore. There are a couple of micro level ones, but that's okay. It happens. No one's going to have a perfect game every single time. But in terms of decision making, when to go after an objective, when to go for a dive, they had it clean on.
Yeah, I think we just saying the same things, but it's just so important to not die in laning phase, especially when you got the counter pick, or at least the safer pick, and you still did. I also want to mention Huin actually played this matchup decently, I'd say. He's died once, I believe, in the 1v1 scenario, but he got some really cool plays of in the 2v2 of Prompo and Huin versus Destiny and Leipzig. So I see some potential right here in this guy, but Nysig just really got outclassed in these games.
And taking a look at our MVP vote real quick. Prompo getting the highest votes thus far. I have to 100% agree with that. He's the one who got the Baron steal in game number 1 that kept him alive. And some of his Hecarim play, even though he went 1-7-3, was crucial in the early game of Chimaera.
You can't really judge him just purely out of the scoreboard, because like the amount of times he saved Huin in the lane and died himself for going 1-for-1 or 1-for-1, or at least getting Huin to survive, that's so important. He played really well in this game, but they have to fix their laning phase, because they just faltered each time. Because this time around, really strong late game, they just don't get to the late game. And in game 1, we saw the macro play wasn't really on top. This time around, the macro play was much better, but when they played like the purely engaged composition, they really faltered because they didn't plan it out right.
On that note, congratulations to Team Onyx for the 2-0 and getting their first points of the season. But I think that's going to wrap it up. I think that's all we have here tonight. A quick 2-0 for you guys. A nice little competitive one, but overall an enjoyable match nonetheless. Team Chimaera versus Onyx. Thank you both for playing for us, and thank you guys for joining us here on the stream tonight. My name is Eric Desrex Patran, followed by my co-caster Pelé. Is it? Make sure I get it right. Pelé. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's Danish. It's hard.
I will perfect that one for you. But thank you all for joining us, and we hope you all have a great night.